Hi, my name is Jen Hool, and I'm here to talk to you about my public art project, Plant, Paint, Cross-Pollinate. This is a public art migrating mural project focused on the importance of native plants to pollinators and ecosystem health through collaborative community art events. This is a brief slideshow that will just go over the whole overview of the project, including some of the inspiration. So I was really moved by Douglas Talamay's work, his idea of Homegrown National Park, which is this nationwide effort to identify and replace invasive species in lawns with native plants, to support pollinators and make a healthy ecosystem for all fauna. He had a brilliant recognition that most of the land in the United States is in private ownership. And if all private landowners get together and convert their properties to native plant habitats, we can create continuous habitat for all beings, which is so exciting. And we do this by planting native. So native plants, they've formed symbiotic relationships with native wildlife over thousands of years, and therefore offer the most sustainable habitat. And here in Massachusetts, where I'm based, the Department of Conservation and Recreation recognizes that over 45% of our agricultural commodities here rely on pollinator species for crop pollination and food production. And this is something worldwide. We need pollinators to help pollinate our food so we can survive. There are some really stark issues happening with our planet right now that are hard to just easily put into words, but one of a big statistic that moved me is this fact that we've lost 3 billion birds since 1970 in the United States. This is from a study put out by the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. So that's 30% drop since 1970, which is in the span of a human lifetime. And the Cornell Lab director, John Fitzpatrick, says that it's a staggering loss that suggests the very fabric of North America's ecosystem is unraveling. Here we have a black-capped chickadee, and this is a great fact from Talamay, and hopefully will help you to get excited about planting native. So maybe you're a birder and not as concerned about the bees and the butterflies. So birds, they eat caterpillars, and native plants provide caterpillar food. So question is, how many caterpillars does it take to feed a fledgling family of black-capped chickadees? So it'd be like 2 or 3 little fledglings over the course of a month-ish. How many caterpillars do those mother and father bird need to bring home to feed them? You'll find out the answer soon. But all of this stuff is happening: mass species extinction, eradication of ecosystems, pollution, climate change. It's dire, it's serious, and it's hard to wrap our heads around. But there's a solution that you can actually take from the ground up: literal grassroots, planting native grass, planting native plants. It's the solution to help heal our planet. So it's said that we're in the Anthropocene because of how much species are being wiped out. By planting native, we can bring on this idea of the symbiocene, which is a concept Glenn Albrecht coined, a philosopher, where we would be living in symbiosis with the earth, its ecosystems, and nature. And just from personal experience, this has been the one environmental act that I found where I can really see my efforts make a difference. I planted milkweed in the same year I planted it. I saw monarch caterpillars. So I'm actually creating literal habitat in my yard, and I can see the birds, bees, insects visit that habitat and use it. It's very exciting. And you can do it in a pot or a windowsill. It doesn't have to be a whole yard. One plant makes a difference. So these are all the ideas behind this public art project, and I'll be going into the details of the art project in just a minute, but just a few more key concepts that really shaped my outlook in creating this was, one, Robin Wall Kimmerer's idea of botanical belonging. And that's the fact that we can discover and celebrate what the visual language of our Massachusetts plants, trees, and shrubs look like. And of course, you could apply that to any state, any region, but get curious. These are plants that have evolved for millennia in the habitat and the conditions that you are geographically situated in. And they have a unique form that's only found in that area. So the native plant, it's just like it's a part of your identity, which can be really nice way to connect more deeply to the world and earth around you. And then I love Shannon Trimboli's Backyard Ecology podcast. And she says that one of the taglines of the show is, nature isn't somewhere out there. It's right here in your own backyard. So I've been concerned about the environment my whole life. And of course, I want to help save the plains in Africa, the savanna, or in the rainforest and the Amazon, but I can't get there easily to touch it and help it and restore it. But that nature is all around us, and you can create it in a very small area and make habitat and connect to that energy. And then another great concept from Doug Tallamy is lawns are food deserts. Nothing can eat lawns. Hardly any species can eat the species we plant as lawn. And ornamental imported plants, shrubs, and trees are as environmentally beneficial as planting a fake plastic tree. Doesn't mean if you're here in New England, you have to cut down your Japanese maples. It just means you can be much more considerate of the plants that you put in your yard and your reasons for planting. We can't just have it be an aesthetic choice and aesthetic appreciation for human visual interest. We can think about the capacity of plants to sustain life and to create energy for all the beings that we share the earth with. So the Plant Paint Cross-Pollinate project, what is it? So in summary, I've created 20 butterfly signs that highlight the importance of native plants. And these signs are going to migrate along a route of high visibility public spaces to inspire viewers to plant native within their own communities. 15 of those signs were made at collaborative plant and paint events. And 5 of the signs I'm making myself, and I'm releasing those signs throughout the duration of the butterfly mural migration, which is when the signs will be on display in the land that they were created in, the communities that they were created in. So in January and February, I held plant and paint workshops. And at these workshops, you planted and you painted. So I designed these butterfly signs, and you can see people holding them here that are on display currently in the butterfly mural migration. And people painted native plants on them at 8 different workshops in 7 communities. And there were about 160 participants, so had a great turnout. And so the plant and paint. So planting, I gave a 1-hour chat talk lecture, if you will, about the importance of native plants to pollinators and ecosystem health. And then I had collected all of these native plant seeds with myself, my son, my 2-year-old son, and local conservation group, West Newbury Wild and Native. Many members helped collect seeds there. And people got to look at all the different photos of the native seeds, the flowers that I had collected the seeds of, and pick 2 different plants that they could pot and take home. And so you can see on the left there that there's QR codes next to the photos of the plants, some basic growing conditions, and then the plants in their packaged seeds. And I have upcoming events through summer 2023. If you're seeing this in summer 2023, you could consider signing up for one. And then so you see that as the first header there, and then below is all the different plant and paint events I held for adults. And so these, and I'll talk about the migration too. But we also talked about just native pollinators, not just butterflies and moths, but also bees, wasps, beetles, flies. And here's our answer to our question. How many caterpillars does it take to raise one family of chickadee babies? It's 6,000 to 9,000 caterpillars. So that's up to 390 to 570 per day. I watched a family of black-capped chickadees who had nested in one of my birdhouses in my backyard. It was last summer, and my son was just over a year old, so I was in the throes of pure exhaustion of first year of motherhood, and I watched this couple of chickadees fly back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to and from that little birdhouse, bringing caterpillars for their fledglings. So it's an absurd number of caterpillars. And caterpillars need native plants to live. That's what they eat. They're a critical food source for up to 96% of songbirds. And so the butterflies is what I focused on. They're charismatic species. They have this power of transformation and metamorphosis, and they're beautiful. So I wanted to pick something that stood out, that people feel some connection to, can immediately recognize as the icon, the shape of the sign. And I designed the sign so that they represent the 5 different butterfly families in Massachusetts and actually in New England. So you can see old school throwback to science class. We have the list: domain, kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. This is 5 different families, butterfly families in Massachusetts. So there's the whites and sulfurs, copper hair streaks and blues, skippers, swallowtails, and brushfoots. So there's 4 different shape signs of each of those, 20 total. And those signs are painted front and back. So this is what a sign that was painted by community members looks like completed. And you can see the front and the back, and when they're on display, you see both of them as well. So right now there's the butterfly mural migration, which is the second part of the public art project. And the butterfly signs are touring through the communities that they were created in. So Amesbury, Groveland, Haverhill, Lawrence, Merrimack, Newbury, and West Newbury, on public conservation land, at public libraries, and around local schools. And there's signs that also aid in raising awareness about native plants, eco-friendly gardening practices, and resources available to host communities. So if you're not familiar with those towns in Massachusetts, this is where the project is located. So it's in the northeast corner of Massachusetts, and you can see here the different butterfly signs. So the current migration, orange butterflies, are happening May 1st through June 30th, and then Amesbury is getting a migration July 1st through August 31st, and then Haverhill and Lawrence are finishing up the migration September through October. I have an interactive map on my website where you can actually see more specific locations of where the butterflies are located. So when you click on the icon, a message pops up that gives you more information about the site that it's housed at, and even some photos of them in situ. So you can tour like it's a rock and roll band. And then another thing that I had done with the workshops was hand out zines that I had designed, as well as a sticker to encourage people to plant native. And this summarized 6 easy action steps that you could take for eco-friendly backyard conservation. And I have a link to more resources on my website, as well as a link to that conservation group that I've worked with, West Newbury Wild and Native, if you're interested in learning more. But you can see some of the basic takeaways from the lectures. 1, plant native. 2, leave the leaves, stems, and plant debris from September through May 31st. A lot of insects overwinter, including butterflies, including adult butterflies in Massachusetts and New England. And they need a cover to stay warm. Leaves provide that cover. Then not using any pesticides, fungicides, neonicotinoids, and making sure you're buying from nurseries that don't use those products. If you buy something that has that in it, a plant, it just gets transferred to the being that eats it. Removing invasive species, which is a lifetime of work, but everybody can just chip away at it together. Losing the lights at night. So you can switch to outdoor motion detector lights, but moths will actually fly to exhaustion, and it disrupts bird migrations, these outdoor lights that we use. And then a little bit about no-mow or low-mow May to create a little extra food and shelter boost for our overwintering insects as they awake from their winter slumber in the beautiful season of May, which can also get cold. So that was just another resource. And then people also got a little wooden butterfly that they could paint and take home as well. If you're interested in learning more about native plants, I've put together this additional resources on my website, and so you can see the big native plant resources and a bunch of different links to help you educate yourself more. And then I just want to end by thanking the project sponsors. So I got a lot of sponsorship for this project, and it helped to make it a reality. So that was including corporate sponsors, Mel's Record Shop and Beowulf Brewing, Water Street Realty and Trust, and then Mass Cultural Councils, local Mass Cultural Councils from all the communities where the project is housed in. The Essex County Community Foundation gave a grant. Puffin Foundation gave a grant. The icon's not on here, but that was a recent grant. So thank you everybody who helped sponsor this project. And if you'd like to learn more, you can follow me on Instagram at Jen Hool Studio. There's a Facebook page, Plant Paint Cross-Pollinate. You can also email me, jen@jenhool.com, and visit the website, my website, jenhool.com, and sign up for email updates if you're interested in taking workshops or learning more about the project. I plan to repeat this annually, deepening connections in my local community where I've started it, and then grow it geographically over the years. And the hope is too that people who are planting the seeds that I've collected with community members will also save those seeds so they can spread the power of native plants to the people that they know and love in their own communities. So thank you for taking time to watch this. Reach out if you have any questions, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.